I'm Kailani, and this is the Kai Report, where I uncover the truths about music and music education. For today's interview, we'll be hanging out with another one of Oclef's professors, Stephanie Wang. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, Stephanie. I'm an S1 professor at Oclef, and I've been working here for about a year now.
Awesome. Alrighty, so let's get started with a little bit about your background in music. So, how long have you been involved in music?
Yeah, so I have been playing piano since I was 4 years old, and I started composing at 7. And that's how I've kind of, stuck with it since my childhood, because both my older sisters have always been playing piano. And when I was growing up, I would just like compete locally. And when it was time to apply for college, I had to make the choice between piano and composition, and I decided to focus solely on music composition because I knew I'd be able to, like practice on my own, but I really wanted to improve my craft on just like how to write classical music. So yeah, I entered NYU as a music composition major, concentrating in concert music. I do a lot of like small ensemble pieces. I do, band ensembles, like string quartets, different things like that. And then very recently, I just switched my major to music business. So that's my new career path now.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Most people I know who decide to pursue composition, it's like they don't realize it until like much later on in life. So that's really cool. Was it something that just happened, or was it like something that you were exposed to and then you're like, oh, like this is cool?
Yeah, I guess when I was a little kid, I would always love to like improv a lot on the piano and then be like, oh my God, I can like make my own piece maybe. And so my parents got me into composition lessons, and I really like started to love just like writing my own music on top of practicing other music that I was playing for the piano. And when I started to get my pieces performed, that was like honestly the greatest feeling in the world. Just like having an audience like sit there and like listen to something you created, and just it's really nerve wracking, but then you can like hear their feedback. If they enjoy it, there's like no greater feeling.
Oh, that's so refreshing. I love that for you. So like, why did you decide to switch majors to, I think you said music business?
This was just my personal experience, but I feel like in New York, everyone is just super, super competitive, and like no matter what field you're in, especially in the arts, and it's really just every man for himself. And when I went to college, I really wanted there to be like a very friendly and open, environment where you can collaborate with other composers and stuff. Because that's something I never really got growing up, because I was kind of the only one that I knew who composed music. I'm from like a small town in the South, so it wasn't like a huge thing there. And that just wasn't really my experience. I didn't feel like very welcome in it. I learned from a great professor, Herschel Garfield, and he really helped me focus on my own music. I did a couple programs that I found to be like honestly a little misogynistic.
Wow.
Music competition is a very male-dominated field, so sometimes it's hard to just like break out in that field, no matter how good you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometimes it's just like that. And then I took a couple of music business classes because that was required in our curriculum, and I was like, this is so interesting. Like now this is really like what I want to do, because I've always been interested in business. That's probably what I would have majored in if I didn't choose composition. And this was like a whole side of the music industry that I really have never even like thought of or been exposed to, and I feel like not a lot of people even like think about the business that goes behind the music industry. So that was really interesting to me.
Gosh. Well, I'm glad that you at least found some sort of like gratification like with where you're at now. As far as like the music business goes, do you have any like short-term goals, like things that you plan on learning, things that you might want to get a little bit more experience in?
Yeah. So I have always been really interested in the A&R sector of the music industry. Hopefully, maybe I can do something one day like related to that, because I'm always like really huge about music discovery, and it would be like a dream job to just like go to a bunch of like concerts and like see who I like and see who I can sign and different things like that. As for short-term goals, though, it's really what I'm doing with Oclef, which is trying to start the record label. And I feel like based on the knowledge that I've gotten from my music business classes and just like research that I've been doing on my own, I feel like this could be just like a huge learning experience for me. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. Also, can you like explain a little bit like what A&R is?
Yeah, so A&R stands for Artist and Repertoire. It's basically like it's like a headhunting, maybe if that's the right word, of the music industry, where you're kind of in charge of artist discovery as part of the record label team. So it's kind of how like people are trying to find the next Justin Bieber on YouTube or whatever. And, you know, a lot of it is about analytics, especially now because music streaming is huge, and also the music industry is changing to be very like online, and of course TikTok and stuff for music discovery. So there's a lot of data and statistics you can use for streaming and for very successful artists and how they kind of found their path to success. There's a lot that we can learn from there to kind of see who will be like the next big star.
That's so cool. So it's like you're like Simon Cowell then. That's so crazy.
A little bit, I hope.
It's like the next The Voice or American Idol. That's pretty cool. I like that. As far as long-term goals, so what do you see yourself doing with your major career-wise? Do you have any plans for that, or?
I'm not exactly sure. I have always seen myself, you know, working for Oclef full time when I graduate, or, you know, maybe later on going into the corporate world, like maybe going into like Sony or, you know, Spotify or Warner Bros. Or Universal, one of those like really top names in the music industry. But also I feel like for, you know, careers like that, especially if you're just getting out of college, you definitely won't learn as much or have as many responsibilities as you do like in a small startup.
Yeah, definitely. And then like speaking of Oclef, what was your journey with Oclef? How did you find us?
Yeah, so I found Oclef through LinkedIn. It was the end of my freshman year in college. It was about a year ago today. I remember going through all of the interview rounds. I applied as an intern, obviously, because I'm still in school. And I was really just looking for like any type of music internship. Like I was really putting myself out there, but Oclef was the first one where I was like, wait, this is like a really cool concept. So then I went through the rounds of the interviews, and then I actually had to do 2 interviews with Julian. He was like, the first one, you're like, okay, but like I needed to talk to you more, and then now the second one, you're like, okay, good, like we can hire you. So that was a process. But yeah, it's been super fun ever since. Yeah, I can't believe I've been here for like a year.
I know it's like a lot of people like Oclef primarily, like, it's a school. So like to many people, it's like they don't really see it as a company. They're like, oh, okay, like they're a piano school. You know, they do like online stuff. It's mostly like oriented around music education. So, you know, how was that related to like what you were looking for? At first, you know, you're obviously going to have to be like a professor. You're going to have to teach piano. So how does that kind of mix in with music business and composition, all of that?
So even though my main goal was to study composition before, I think it was like in the summer of 2020 during the pandemic, right after I graduated high school, I was looking for a way to make money to pay for NYU, because NYU is like just stupid expensive. Yeah. And so I decided to like get my piano skills to use and start like my private studio with some of my like old piano teacher. She had some like referrals because her studio was full, so she like sent some students to me. And then I kind of like built up almost to like 40 students during that summer, and I had my own studio. I was teaching like 41, 42 lessons a week. It was really, really hard work, but so rewarding. I learned so much about music education, just like by myself, and like working with young kids, which I never really had experience with before. So that's why I kind of, you know, lean toward music education also as a career. Like I love doing it. So then when I found Oclef, I was like, okay. Of course, at first I thought, oh, they're just like a piano school. But then when I started to meet with like everyone else who gave me the interview, I was like, wait, like there's so much more that I can do with this. It's not just about me teaching piano. We also have the ability to, you know, work on our passions and have it like contribute to the company. So that was really
Can we talk a little bit about maybe some of the projects that you've been doing with Oclef? So I think you mentioned the recording label, or sorry, the record label.
Yeah. So, well, I first started out working in Diaglo and kind of helping out with the composition and like learning how to score films. That was a really rewarding experience because I always wanted to learn how to use Logic, but I never really had, I guess, a motivation to, if that sounds bad. But yeah, so that was really cool learning with that. So then I was starting to think about, A&R, what it's like running or working in a record label. It could be beneficial for us to have like our own label because we have a lot of students who want to release albums and, any future artists that we might have. So I started to work on that project, and we're basically trying to prioritize artists with this label setup. And instead of having us take a cut out of their royalties, we give them 100% of the royalties. And then they pay us back, not in like physical money, but in being an asset for the team. Like they become like a success story or, a promotional asset for our podcast or a docuseries, or things like this report too. So eventually like the money will come back around. I'm still working on the model, but it's been really interesting trying to figure out like what works financially and a bunch of things that I probably wouldn't be learning if I was like a low-level intern at Sony or something.
Yeah, I know I think as of today there's now 2 albums that the kids have made. I met with Leanne the other day, and Leanne has her own album, and then I think Absar just released his album. How has that been for you?
So for Leanne, I think she released her album before I even worked with Oclef, so I wasn't sure about that. But Absar was the first one where Leanne was like, let's like use him as almost like a guinea pig, and use him as this label and see what works promotion wise, what you can do, how you can help him like get more listeners and more streams, stuff like that. So me and Absar met a few times, and we were just bouncing back and forth ideas about, what DSPs to release his music on, how he's going to promote it. And social media is obviously a huge thing here. How to contact playlist curators and try to get his songs on playlists, because that's like a really good way to get more streams on Spotify and really have new people discover your music. He's kind of doing like an EP/album where he has 4 singles total. So yeah, really excited to see where it's going.
That's so cute. That is so cute. I feel like the one thing about Oclef is like, because there are so many things that we can do as like employees, it's like that almost kind of translates to like the students as well. It's not only us who gets like the benefits of all these projects, but it's like it's the kids as well. And then like our experience translates over to them, and we're like, hey, like we can help you do this as well. We can help you compose. We can help you arrange. We can help you do all of this stuff. I think it's really awesome that you get to do this and you can help out the students in this way. That's so sweet. Before Oclef, and like before you had decided to kind of change things around, what was your plan and like what was your experience like? Had it been like streamlined yet, or was it still kind of up in the air?
It was still very up in the air. Oclef was the first like official like music job that I had. Of course I was, just working like typical high school jobs. Like I worked in a restaurant, I worked, at like weddings and stuff. So none of it was really to like pursue a career in music. And then when I got to college, I had no idea what I was going to do, because I still thought I was going to do composition. Career-wise, you could become like a professor in composition. You would have to go get a PhD with that, or you could, be like a full-time composer and work and have projects and rely on those and rely on the commissions and stuff. So that wasn't ever really what I envisioned my future to look like. I guess I was just so like a little naive and still caught up in like how much I loved composing that's just like what I thought about. But honestly, I almost like the idea of working like a 9 to 5 or like 40 hours a week job. If I personally just worked on commissions, I would like never get anything done, but yeah, so that's kind of why I also changed to music business, because that career path aligns more with my goal, um, to maybe like work in the music industry and maybe put my like creative projects just like on the side, you know?
Yeah. So like knowing that you're like in college, so like how is like the work-life balance, or I guess student life balance? How has it been managing everything?
It's been pretty great, yeah. Especially since, here I can kind of like choose my own schedule or what classes I want to teach, like the classes that fit around my schedule. So I get my schoolwork done like during the day, I teach in the evening because I'm on the East Coast. So I do have long days because I'm doing both, but it's never gotten to the point where I feel like I'm like burnout or anything. The balance is good. I feel like maybe the hardest part is finding the time to work on my own projects, not just like the set classes I have to go to or the set Oclef classes that I have to teach. But yeah, now that I'm actually working on a project that I'm really passionate about and I love learning about, it's been, really great to just feel like I'm doing research for myself and stuff, but I'm technically still like working.
Yeah, definitely. So I know you kind of like briefly said that after college you do plan on like joining Oclef full time.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think Oclef would help you kind of like pursue some of your goals? So like I know you mentioned that you want to do Oclef full time, but then you also have like these goals a little bit beyond where Oclef is right now. So how would you see Oclef helping you achieve your goals, whether it's you finding another place or bringing all of those goals into Oclef itself?
Yeah, I hope there's like a, time where, if the label works out or if, there's something within Diaglo where I can do that, then definitely incorporating it would be super cool to do. Ideally, like bringing those goals into Oclef, which is kind of what I'm doing in the stage that I'm at right now. And like I said, I've been working here less than a year, and the way the company looks today and how it looked when I first joined, it's completely different. And I graduate in like 2 years. So I can only imagine like what Oclef is going to look like in Diaglo or even the label, what that's going to be like in 2 years. And I hope it'll be like big enough where I can just really pursue any type of career dream that I have and still stick with this company.
Yeah. And then my final question to kind of tie it all back into music education, is there something that you wish you could have learned like as a kid that you're learning now that you think you can kind of give back to the kids?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like the biggest thing which is just like a holistic approach to music, not just learning how to play piano. Kids need to learn music theory from a young age. They need to learn, composer history. They need to learn about modern music and pop music, what the music industry actually is, how to, be successful in it, how to brand yourself. And a lot of it, well, this is kind of more for like maybe like the older kids like Leon and Absar who are releasing albums, how to self-promote as a musician, because you don't really like learn that, but yet in this day and age, if you want to be successful as a musician, you have to like do all of that. You need to learn how to write your own music, how to record it, how to master it, how to produce it, how to promote it, and how to like release it on all these streaming services. So there's a lot that goes into that now that musicians didn't really have to like learn back in like the 70s where the label would just take care of it all. So yeah, all of that is just super important.
Alrighty. Well, yeah, so those are pretty much all my questions. So thank you so much for talking with me today. And yeah, I'm really excited to see where the whole record label and everything moves up from here. And yeah, so thanks for listening, everyone. And that's a wrap for today's Kai Report.